What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Plant and Push.
Yo, Leaf here. To my left, I got
Deuce.
And today we have a very special guest, someone that is near and dear to me, someone that is, he was my first friend and showed me the ropes, and somebody that's very inspirational, somebody that I try to model my life after. And this person is my older brother, Kayin, President.
Yes, thank you guys for having me.
Never realized I'd have two Mr. Presidents in the same room.
You don't get that all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, for sure, man. Finally making it happen. It had a busy start this summer, so I'm glad we can finally make this happen.
Crazy summers, chasing around a toddler, weddings, birthdays. It's crazy, but I'm glad to be here, man. I appreciate it.
It's funny when we all start to cross over into that new plane of life, like you're saying, weddings, people having kids and stuff. Like, we're just getting introduced to that.
Yeah.
Like the amount of, had a couple weddings that I've been to this year, and over the last, and next thing you know, people popping out babies. I'm engaged.
Yes,
no babies yet.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
that question's coming next, man. They're like, when y'all having kids?
When we want.
That's a good answer.
We'll see. It's all up to him.
For sure. Man, we're definitely hitting that age, and like you're saying, man, it's a lot of exciting things. And I think what was cool is that just seeing a lot of your friends, like your age, they're starting to have kids and buy houses. When I remember RJ bought his house, like, man, like I'm getting closer and closer to that next stage for sure. But yeah, man, so we want to introduce you, and I think what's first, I think would be great is starting off with your childhood, man, or I should say our childhood, but from your perspective of just traveling and also being born in Oklahoma. Boomer Sooner, shout out Tanner.
Boomer Sooner, but definitely go Bucks now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. No, I think I was just actually thinking about this, or talking to Leva about this the other day. Like, I remember being born in Oklahoma, but I don't remember living in the States until we came to Colorado. So I was born in Oklahoma on Tinker Air Force Base, and then we moved to Japan, spent 3 years there, and then that's when we had you, or mom and dad had you. And then we moved to Aviano, Italy. So I remember as a kid, like, my only concept or idea of America was watching it through like movies or like TV shows, or folks back in the day, they would record like tapes for mom and dad to watch of like the Martin Show or Fresh Prince or whatever, and then send it to them overseas. So you remember that?
Vaguely. I remember we had a bunch of not cassette tapes, but the VHS tapes.
Yes, VHS tapes. Yeah. So my concept of like what America was like was through that. I didn't actually feel like, oh, what does it look like to live and be in America until I was almost like 10 years old, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Man.
Well,
yeah.
That's cool though. So I know we were talking about it, but you were born in Oklahoma, but then the first country you lived in was
Japan. Yeah.
Where you were born.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okinawa. Yeah. Kadena Air Force Base.
Yep.
And what do you remember from either that or like Italy, the next stop that you guys were at? Like, what's a core memory that you might have had when you're either in both places or just from what you remember?
Man, a lot of memories. I remember more of Italy than Japan, but I remember Japan hibachi grills, food, amazing. Talk about like anime, Pokemon, Digimon, like all that stuff was just like readily available, accessible, Dragon Ball Z. So I remember Japan more for like the food and the culture, and everyone was just very, very nice there. I remember that. And I remember, I think mom and dad have told this story, but I remember I was so excited to have a little brother. I was sitting in kindergarten class and I was like, all right, I know like he's about to come or whatever. But I guess in my head, again, I'm like maybe 5 at the time, or 4 or 5. And I'm thinking he's popping out and he's going to be ready to run and play with me and all this stuff. And then I see him and he's like about this little and about this wide. And I'm like, I can't do nothing with that. I'm like, hold on, I need a brother that I can play with and run around with. But no, that only lasted maybe like a couple weeks, and all of a sudden, like we were like attached to the hip. Whatever I was doing, he was right there, and super thankful and blessed to have him as a brother.
Yeah, same. Yeah, brother from another mother, for sure.
Yeah. So no, I'd say food is what I remember the most from Japan. Man, yeah.
Sounds so good.
Yeah, chicken fried rice, still a staple for
Oh
me.
man.
But yeah, and then Italy, I would say I just remember the pace of living and life was just real laid back and
Really?
slow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like during the summers, it felt like summer. A lot of stores would close early or would just close early. If they ran out of stuff, they just closed up shop and that was it. So if it was a Friday at 3:00, that was it. So it
Good
just
for
was
them.
like,
Yeah.
it was. And at the time, I don't think I recognized it or knew that that was different until we moved to Colorado. And it was such a culture shock of like capitalism and how everything stays open and there's an abundance of resources and things like that. So I would say Italy, what I remember the most is just the pace of life was a lot slower. Food was also amazing. Don't get me wrong. Pizza and pasta, being able to have trips where we can take a train and get down to Venice was definitely a privilege.
Oh, for sure. Speaking of pizza shops, man, remember the pizza owner used to give
The
us
pizza
candy
owner?
all the time.
I
Remember
know.
that big old yellow bucket?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I can't remember his name, but I do remember that pizza place.
Yeah,
Cool. Oh,
yeah, bro.
so
the
nice.
your bus driver to school, best friend, my best friend. You used to let me
Yes.
just hop on the bus, just
Yes.
to ride.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't even old enough to go to school.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
wanted to hop on the bus.
That's so cool,
Again,
man.
attached to the hip.
Yeah.
And when he talks about a bus, it wasn't like a traditional yellow school bus that you're thinking about. It was like a charter bus. That's
Yeah.
what we took
Oh,
to school
wow.
because we
Yeah.
lived off base.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So the bus would come around, pick up all the military kids, and then take us back to base for school. Yeah, so we had like these nice luxury charter buses. So again, just a way different way of life or living that I was exposed to. But I think I'm very appreciative of that perspective because I think from an early age I recognized that not everybody thinks America is this great place and that we just got all our stuff together. There's a certain way that you have to kind of carry yourself or recognize there's just different perspectives in life or a different way of living. So I'm very, very thankful. And I don't think I recognized it as much as a kid, but as I've gotten older, just having that exposure to different perspectives and ways of life, I think has helped shape who I am now and how I view the world.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, man. That is so cool. Finally hearing a little bit more. I feel like we've never had this conversation.
Yeah.
Just about your childhood. I feel like it was always Khalif was born in Japan, and then now we're in Italy, and now boom, we're here. And that was just. It's really awesome, I think, hearing the different perspectives. And two, that was where you first started playing sports. It was baseball and soccer too. And was it Japan or Aviano was your first country?
Ooh, I don't remember. I think I remember playing soccer in Japan, but for sure by the time we moved to Italy, I was playing soccer, flag football, basketball. That's when I started to get more into athletics and things like that.
Was flag football on base or was that off base?
It was on base from what I can remember.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
it was
makes
on
sense,
base.
'cause I was thinking about it when you said flag football in Italy. I was like, wait, hold on. They were doing that out there?
Yeah.
Definitely on base.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
outside of base, it was all soccer or football, and
Yeah.
what the Europeans call it. Yeah, yeah.
So what made you want to, obviously being an American, born on American soil, technically in
Yep.
in the base, right? But what made you want to get into more American sports, given that you're living in
Yeah.
other countries and kind of more engulfed in those cultures? If you will?
Yeah. No, I would say my earliest memory of sports was really going and watching my dad play those sports on base. So they would have I don't know what they would call it, but rec leagues or whatever through the intramurals, whatever.
Yeah.
Through the military, and they would play different squadrons or different bases nearby. So I remember him playing football and sitting and watching him play, and I'm like, dang, that's tight, that's fun. I want to do that. Watching him play basketball, watching him play softball or baseball. So I think that was my first exposure to sports, and then. I would say the first time I actually watched sports on TV that I can remember was in Italy, and it was the Ohio State national championship game against Miami.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
They
How
had,
old were you?
Shoot, I don't even remember now.
It had to be, what was that, 2002?
I think because
Because,
I'm almost certain
So
that's the same game that I was watching that
Really?
made me Ohio State fan.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you had to be 7.
Yeah, I was-
Because I had to be 2.
Yeah, because we were in Italy.
Yeah.
2 or 3.
Yeah, so I was maybe 6, 7 years old, but I remember we had went to bed and then woke up because I think in order to watch it, we had to watch it at like 3 a.m. But yeah, so it was Ohio State. They had like Chris Gamble, and then they were the underdogs. 'Cause I remember Miami came in loaded. Willis McGahee, Dorsey. That team was loaded.
Yeah, that's some dogs.
Yeah, but I just remember watching that game and being like, all right, football is definitely something I want to get into. But there wasn't tackle football until we moved to Colorado.
Yeah.
So that was my first kind of exposure into tackle football was here.
So how was that transition?
It was easier than I thought. I remember one of my first games getting tackled because I wasn't used to getting tackled. I was like, man, I'm used to just going, scoring, whatever. And the first time somebody tackled me, it kind of shocked me. And I was like, hey, man, get off me. Yeah. I was like, you're kind of messing up my groove here. Yeah. But no, I loved it. I would say I'm appreciative that I started with the flag football just because I feel like it just gives you the mechanics and the strategy and kind of understanding the game and recognizing the spacing. Yes. And recognizing the fact like football is not just, despite what some people think, it's not just a brute force game. There is some like thought process behind it and strategy and spacing and things like that. But yeah.
Awesome,
Man, that is so cool. So with that, then talk about your high school experience with football.
Yeah. So I went to CT, shout out Cougars. So I went in there playing basketball and football. I would say at that time, I probably enjoyed basketball better, but I was a better football player. And the friends that know me would always joke around. My high school career was almost like they called me the best there never was. So I was pretty decent. Like I started swinging varsity as a sophomore for both basketball and football.
He's being humble. This dude was legendary.
Yeah, I know.
I was not that legendary. I'm not on no Hall of Fames or nothing. But I was decent athletic wise. But I would say I loved it. I loved the coaches that I played for. I like the fact that I think my freshman year was the first year CT moved up to 5A. Okay. So it was definitely kind of like we were proving ourselves. Or maybe if it wasn't the first year, it was the second year. We were trying to prove ourselves to be like, no, we can hang with the big dogs. So I just remember loving it.
Yeah. Back then.
The Mullins, the Grandviews, the Eagle Crest.
Everybody was spread out back then. I feel like your grade, man, so competitive. It didn't really matter what school.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, even at Rangeview, like that's when Pops had them teams rolling too during that era. Like you said, it wasn't all just concentrated in one specific school. I'm not even going to say their name. They went all at one school.
We won't say who that school is.
Exactly.
No, it was. The schedule, like every game was hard. There was no like slack off. Actually, there was one, but I'm not going to say that school's name either.
Yeah, exactly.
For the respect of them.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, don't go to that school and drive around when there's a puddle either. You know, that's cool. So when you were playing, you said you made to about your sophomore season, and then what happened?
Okay, so I was man, this is a while ago. Okay, so going into my junior year summer, we were getting ready doing 2-a-days and stuff for football, and we were doing gassers to finish up practice, and I just felt like I don't even know how to describe it, almost like a knocking feeling in my hips. And I noticed it the first couple weeks, and I was like, I don't know. Like at this point, I'm 16, 15 years old. I'm like, it hurts today. It'll be gone tomorrow. I'm going to just keep pushing through. So just kept going, practicing, going through drills and things like that. And then my hips starting to kind of like both sides starting to tighten up more. And I was like, man, what's going on? And I distinctly remember I was running gassers, and I was probably at this point going about 30% of my full speed. And the coaches was like, hey, you need to come off. Like you're not running. What's up? You need to go see the trainer. Went and saw the trainer. Trainer couldn't really figure out what was going on. My parents took me to the hospital or whatever just to get an evaluation or whatever to find out I had 2 hip impingements and those hip impingements then was tearing my labrums and both sides of my hips. So brutal stuff, man. Yeah, I thought it was just kind of like I got hit wrong or kind of twisted wrong, but to find out that I had like built up calcium on the ball of the hip socket was just crazy to me. Yeah.
And that's what caused like that erosion.
Yes, and that's what caused the erosion. Yeah.
And then it started to
wear and tear.
Break into that. That's a ligament, right?
I said labrum. I don't know what it's called. But
there is in your hips because there's labrum in your hips and in your shoulders.
Yeah.
Man. Dang, so there must have been significant calcium buildup.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Looking at
Because
the
I was
X-rays.
year round. Yeah. Before then, you couldn't catch me. Like if I was not at home, I was either on a football field or a basketball court or training or doing something. Like I was doing sports year round. Khalif can testify to this. We were
for sure.
hopping in that Grand Caravan and just going all over the state.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the impingement then, what was it like after that in terms of not only your performance but even just your entire athletic experience after that?
That was really the segue. So that's actually a good question. That kind of shifted a lot of things for me. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to play my junior year of football. I went into like rehab. I had opted out of doing surgery right away and trying to do like OT and PT to try to see if I could kind of shift my hip up to be able to give some more wiggle room. It worked for a little bit, so I was able to play a little bit of basketball for my junior year. But by the end, I would say my mobility had completely shifted. I didn't play any sports my senior year. And boy, you talk about like a identity shift. That was something I was not expecting. And I would say that is really what kind of changed the course of how I started to view myself, my identity, and things like that.
Man. So how did the shift in your identity from when sports ended kind of segue into the path that you're on now?
Good question. I would say once that identity shift happened for me my senior year, it was not an easy process. I would say there's a lot of nights where I just felt like I had disappointed people and let people down. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go to college, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do at that time. But I think somewhere along the path from friends and talking to one of my best friends at the time, who now is my wife, Leva, had recognized like, okay, maybe being in like a helping profession might not be a bad idea. Like my mom obviously was a teacher growing up. My dad had multiple kind of careers in the military, but one of his most recent ones was kind of helping professions related in the military. So I had already had exposure to that. So I was like, all right, let me just go kind of find a degree that will allow me to learn more about myself and who I want to be. So that's what kind of prompted me to come to Fort Collins or go to CSU. Go Rams. Yeah, I still think to this day that was probably one of the best decisions for me to go to CSU and not stay local or anything like that. Just because it allowed me to go there with a fresh start, right? I wasn't going in there as Kayin the athlete or, hey, what's going on here or there. I could just go in as like, Kayin, I'm just purely a student. I'm just figuring out who I am. So that was amazing.
What was your favorite part in Fort Collins, would you say?
Ooh, my favorite part. I didn't like it at first. I'll be honest. I was like, man, there's no black people up here. I just see a lot of cows. It was definitely a culture shock. But I had heard about the Key community through Leva, and it was kind of set up at the time for kids coming from more diverse backgrounds to be able to take similar classes and have kind of cohorts together there.
Oh, wow.
It was a super cool program,
cool.
Key Academics. So I knew about that. So I was like, okay, if I'm going here, I'm gonna get into Key. And it also helped out. They put us in one of the nicer dorms. It was a dorm where it was like a suite style. So you only had to share the bathroom with 3 other dudes versus like a whole floor. And I was like, yep, that's right up my alley.
Absolutely. Man, it was life changing. I think too, I like the way that they divided it up. With Key communities, I was just Key Act because I was not smart per se, but there was like Key Business and Key like engineering, like these different factions, if you will, and you would take classes with them. It's a really good way to transition to a predominantly white school. I think it's just a great way just to find your people and then expand from there. And a lot of people still keep up with like on social media and see what they're doing, so it's pretty cool.
It is cool.
To see just everybody's growth and stuff. Would you say the same thing? You keep up with some of your Key?
Yeah, I keep up with some of them. It was a cool program. I think if it had not been for that program, I don't know if I would have found early success in college. I think I probably would have been struggling more, or somebody that kept coming back home consistently or whatnot, or being homesick. But I think Key Academic really helped.
So would you say that, since you mentioned your best friend, now your wife,
Yeah.
Leva, and having that You said it was Key. It's
Key,
called
yep. Key communities, yeah.
Has keyword being community.
Yes,
has community kind of always been something that has helped keep you grounded and keep you moving forward?
Yes, yeah, I would agree. I would say like community and having like kind of close friends and family. I still am friends with folks that like have known me since I was like 12 years old. Those are still my guys. So community is something that's very, very important to me. I'm very selective of who's in my inner circle, but I know once they're in there, they're good people.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that for sure.
Yeah. Oh man. But no, I was thinking about Khalif's question earlier when you were talking about CSU. Like, yes, it was a culture shock being in a predominantly white institution, but I think once I settled in and started exploring the campus or outside of the campus, I was like, dang, Silver Grill Cafe right now, hands down, best brunch spot up there. Right next to Lucille's.
Yeah, bro. Best cinnamon roll you ever have in your life, bro. The size of that thing, massive.
Catch a quick case of diabetes for this whole word.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Oh man, good pancakes too for sure. It's just it's a good spot. It's like kind of hidden in Old Town too.
Oh, nice.
It's a nice day spot for sure.
Yeah, I want to say it's the oldest restaurant in Fort Collins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's been around for
it was the first one. Yeah. Nice. So it was open when black people wasn't around and couldn't go, and now they obviously let us in there. But no, it's a good restaurant.
Damn.
Yeah.
I know that's.
We gotta get you up there, man.
I know, because they always told me about, like, him and Rue would always try to get me to go to Ramban.
Yeah.
And,
Ramban wasn't around when I was there. Yeah, so that's a different story.
Yeah, but I never made the trip down from Pueblo. I should have, because we had a river walk. River walk, and that was cool, but there wasn't nothing like that.
Yeah. So during your part-time job refereeing and things, didn't you also have an internship while working out there in Fort Collins?
I did my sophomore year. Yep. Yeah. So it was at, oh man, I can't remember the name of the place now. New Mercer Commons, I think. It was a assisted living facility. So I worked with individuals on kind of the older side of life as they were kind of transitioning into new things. And that was really my first time fully getting immersed into that side of life and dealing with death and just kind of legacy and just more questions about like, who am I, or what kind of life have I lived, or what can I give back to people at the end of the day. And it was a very humbling experience. I met a lot of really cool people from different walks of life. And I think that's really what kind of solidified for me that I was heading the right direction. I remember leaving the internship, like anytime I left or clocked out or whatever, I felt fulfilled. And I was like, okay, I'm being around people, I'm helping folks, I'm learning more about them, I'm learning more about myself in the process. So it was something that kind of guided me to be like, okay, let's keep tracking and going. So I started, that was like my first internship or practicum as a sophomore. And then for my senior year, I worked at a residential facility up in Fort Collins called Remington House, which I don't think they're around anymore, but it's an agency through Jacob Center. And I would say that I had I was blessed with very phenomenal like people, supervisors, co-workers that really gave me a good introduction into like what it would take to be a therapist. But not only what it would take to be a therapist, but to make it in the field and last, because there's a lot of folks that burn out or don't have great boundaries and end up on the news for crazy stuff. So I would say they really gave me a good foundation of like clinical skills and understanding myself.
And that obviously kind of just put you on the track to be where you are now, correct?
Yes.
Yep. So what do you do now, brother?
Yeah, so what do I do now? So there's a lot of jobs. No, I'm just kidding. So right now I'm a mental health therapist. So I'm a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Colorado and Minnesota. And I offer individual therapy and couples therapy. And I've been doing that for the last couple of years and absolutely love it.
What are some of the highs of your daily experience, and what are some of the more challenging parts?
Good question. I would say the highs is just being able to connect with people. Yeah. I'm a people guy. I would say being able to work with somebody and be like, okay, I remember from day one we were working on this, or you were struggling with this, or you didn't know what was going to happen. So to see the progression, and whether it's from session to session or from month to month, to see people feel like they have hope again, or they're feeling not as stuck, or they're feeling like they've got better skills or tools or awareness, it's really just like an amazing thing to see, because we're talking about heavy stuff, whether it's from death or anxiety or family dynamics, combat experience. We talk about stuff that you don't normally just talk about with everybody or with your boys or your family or whatever. So to be able to hold space for folks to be able to process things, it's amazing. I would say that's the high. The low, I would say, is, I don't know, man. I would say the low is, I think probably like the toll that it can take on me mentally if I'm not aware of it. So that's where, like, in school they really preached and taught us like self-care, be able to recognize your emotions and feelings and things like that. So I would say that can be a low. It doesn't happen for me often, but I think if you're not aware of it, that can turn into a low really quick, where you're like, oh man, I'm holding space for all these people, I'm doing all this stuff. You can kind of lose yourself in that.
How do you keep yourself grounded when you do experience that?
Oh man, good question. I would say I have a lot of different tools, and seasons of life kind of changes things. I'm definitely like summertime right now. Cool. Great. I think the hardest time is probably during the winter when the days are shorter. You don't see the sun as long.
Man.
That's a real deal thing. Yeah. But no, I would say what keeps me grounded is my wife, Leva, obviously, and our little guy, Henry. Anytime I can hang out with them or chase him around, man, that just like centers me like no other.
Yeah, man, you have a beautiful family, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Shout out Leva, shout out Henry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I would say they ground me a lot. Still being active, right? So even though I'm not an athlete, I still try to take care of my body and make sure that I'm dieting right, eating right, exercising, moving my body. When I'm able to do those things, that really helps ground me. And I also have my own therapist. And it was something, if you'd asked me at the beginning of my therapy career, if I'd have a therapist, I was like, no, like I'm good. I know my stuff. Like I'm teaching it, or I'm hearing it in school. I can just kind of psychoanalyze myself for a little bit. But it is helpful to have somebody to kind of vent to or bounce ideas off of, or give you a different perspective, so that you're feeling like you're not holding all that like emotional weight or space by yourself.
And that's interesting that you mentioned, even being a mental health therapist, that back in the day you would have never saw yourself having one.
No.
So for those people, you know, I'm kind of like in this crossroads, right, where I 100% understand and see the benefits of going to therapy, and whereas before I was against it for that same notion of not wanting to talk to a stranger, you know, and be vulnerable and those sorts of things. As I've gotten older, I've discovered a lot more empathy and sympathy for people as well. And so now, especially like with what, like with Marcel and everything, it's like I 100% see the need and just like the level of care that people like yourself provide for people. But how would you say you are able to, or what are some good tips to be able to break down that stigma of therapy when it comes to, I don't want to talk to a stranger, you know, I'm a man, so I'm gonna be prideful at first too, like that's a big thing. And then maybe even more so for people that are like in my stage where I'm past that now, but now it's just about taking that final leap and just being like, okay, I'm gonna commit to this.
No, that's a good question, man. I would say for like breaking down the stigma is what you guys are doing right here, right? Bringing more awareness. I think the more people can see guys and fellas like us talking about mental health and being like, yep, I'm in therapist, or not, I'm in therapist, I'm in therapy, or I am a therapist, that helps break the stigma down. I see a lot of male clients, obviously, in my profession now. And I would say the biggest thing that I try to teach them of like, hey, when we're in therapy, it doesn't mean that something is wrong with you or that you're broken or weak or anything. Honestly, I have people look at therapy as like, look, this is just kind of like if you were studying film, right, in sports. So if you want a sports analogy, you play a game, And then how do you get better? How do you know what you did well and what you need to correct? You go back and you watch your film of like, okay, in this situation, how did I react? Did that reaction benefit me or the team, or did that reaction or my lack of a reaction somehow prevent us from winning or not making the most out of an opportunity? So really, I think if more folks and guys specifically can start looking at therapy as more of like, it's not, you just don't have to sit and talk about your feelings and go about childhood, all this stuff. You can really look at it as like, okay, I'm going to gain more awareness around like how I move, why I move the way I do. And then as soon as I have that awareness, I can start to recognize patterns in myself and then start to implement skills, strategies, being mindful of my thought process so that I can be the best version of myself, so that I can continue to provide or be that man or whatever you guys need to be in your life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. How do you, how do you convince, or not convince, or what is your suggestion, I would say, let's say for couples that are wanting to take that step to couples therapy?
Yeah, I would say, I'm glad you stopped yourself. If you have to convince somebody to go to therapy, it's probably not going to work, because you really like,
man, speak from firsthand experience, that shit does not work.
Couples therapy.
It goes the opposite way.
But no, I think it's like anything in life. Like if you're committed to it and you're ready to take that like leap, then it'll work out. But if somebody's having to hold your hand or push you to do something, you're not going to get as much benefit out of it. So I think the first thing is not necessarily convincing anybody to do couples therapy or therapy in general. But I think it's more so helping them understand like, what does therapy look like? Because I think different therapists have different kind of approaches, modalities, philosophies. So really, I think if people take the time to recognize like, okay, what if I am going to talk to this stranger who at some point is not going to become a stranger to you anymore? And I think that's something to remind yourself of, like, even though the first couple sessions might be awkward, it's almost like, I don't know, like any other relationship you invest in, the more time and effort you put into it, you get more comfortable with that individual, and that individual knows you better. So I would say, like, taking the time to be like, okay, who do I envision I would want to talk to about some of these things? And then once you find that person, I think giving yourself opportunity, they say like 3 to 4 sessions. If in 3 to 4 sessions, if you're not feeling like, okay, there's some potential, then maybe it just means that that therapist isn't the right fit for you. And then you can always kind of shift. There's a whole bunch of us out there. One of my first supervisors back at Jacob Center talked to us, and he was like, look, I describe therapists almost like shoes, right? You got different shoes for different reasons and seasons in life. So not every therapist is going to connect with every client, and vice versa. So don't take it personal. So yeah, I would say that's my best advice, is just envision or visualize like, okay, who would I want to talk to about this? Look at their bio, see kind of what they're about, but take that leap of faith of meeting with them and talking to them, and give yourself a shot to be like, okay, I can vibe with them, and give them feedback. So sorry, I'm answering y'all's question super long.
You're right.
But I would say awesome. I would say something that I want to make sure that my clients feel when they come into session with me is that they feel comfortable and that they're able to give me feedback, right? So if there's something when they're like, ooh, that was really good, I want you to do more like skills or techniques or whatever like that, let me know, right? This is your therapy. I don't get paid just to kind of run through my playbook. I'm trying to like personalize it and make sure that you're getting the most out of it. So I think find a therapist that's open or wanting feedback, and I don't think you can necessarily go wrong.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
So if I'm coming into your office for the first time, right, and I'm going to call it stereotypical male, right, who is unsure, a little closed off at first. I know what you're talking about. Like, you can't convince anybody.
Nope.
But like, at the end of the day, I'm this person that walks into your office that knows I need the help, but doesn't necessarily fully trust the process yet. And I'm still timid to the process. Like, what's that first conversation look like? No, that's a good question. I would say my normal approach is just to kind of normalize the fact that that's expected, because it's something new, right? Our brains are constantly looking for associations. We're all creatures of habit. So for you to step outside of your comfort zone and be able to talk to somebody or want to talk to somebody,
your brain is going to get a million signals being like, this is uncomfortable. This feels weird. Don't say nothing. Right. So that's actually normal to do that and experience that. So my approach really is to normalize that, to be like, it's okay. We don't have to talk about whatever you want to talk about right away. Like, we can go at your pace. You don't have to tell me your deepest, darkest secrets. You can share what you feel most comfortable with. And another thing that I'll do in my first session or early on in my sessions is I'll ask my clients, like, okay, you're coming in here for a reason. Let's fast forward 3 months from now. What would be different in your life, or what would you be doing differently in your life that would let you know, like, okay, I'm making progress, or like what I'm investing in and the time that I'm taking to meet with this person or talk or be in therapy, it's paying off. Because then that kind of establishes the treatment plan, right? Treatment goals, the game plan for what we're going to tackle in our sessions. So like, okay, if this is what you want to be, so let's say an example, I hear a lot with guys is actually confidence, right? Like, hey, I want to feel more confident in who I am and the decisions that I'm making. So I would then take that and be like, okay, if that's where you want to see yourself in 3 or 4 months, what does confidence look like? How would you know you're confident? How would you be moving? How would you be talking? What type of people would you be around? What would you be doing? So I think being able to kind of pick people's brain that way, again, it's not to like make you feel weak. It's more for you to understand your own thought process and how your previous experiences and things in life has shaped your perspective, and recognize like, okay, this might have helped me at a certain stage in life to look at a certain situation this way or behave a certain way like this. But now I'm in a season of life where I've got to kind of shift or change directions.
Awesome. Yeah, because, I think about, obviously, my situation. I've already explained that part, but, countless people, men that I know, and being a football coach.
Yes.
We're taught, whether we realize it or not, to mask our emotions.
100%.
Especially, there's a time and a place for it.
Yes.
I think 100%. Right?
100%.
Like,
I would agree.
When, especially game day, you're head coach, like, you can't. You have to have a level of poise that we talk about.
Yeah.
When it comes to making the best decision in crunch time, especially.
Yes.
So when it comes to like keeping emotions in check, I think is more so
that
in as much like as real life situation practicality as it gets.
It is.
Like,
it is.
But like on the flip side of that, we can be very accustomed to making that our entire approach to how we handle our emotions. And so, like, for that type of thing, man, I think, first of all, like, there's a lot of room for people to go through that experience.
Yeah.
And so, and my other question to follow up on that is like, what advice, in addition to trying on different shoes, right, as therapists, what advice would you have for people that are maybe in that first step of even kind of sniffing around in the world of therapy?
Yeah. Like, when you say sniffing around the world of therapy, like deciding between therapists or kind of like what they want to talk about? Like, what do you mean?
Like taking the first step of even looking into therapy.
Looking.
Yeah.
Man.
Sniffing in the direction.
Sniffing in the direction of therapy.
Yeah.
I would say go in with like a somewhat flexible, because it can change, right? I would say oftentimes what people initially go in for therapy, it'll start as one thing and then they'll be like, oh, actually this connects to X, Y, and Z. So I think
I tell you about it.
So I think just having like a general idea of being able to answer that question that I had asked you guys earlier, like, okay, what do I want my life to look like or be different that would show me I'm making progress, right? So if it's like, okay, I want to learn how to not be in my head as much. I think go in with a goal like that of figuring out like, okay, I want to get out of my head as much, and then find a therapist that you feel like would be able to help you get out of there. Because different therapists have different kind of styles or approaches. Common ones are like cognitive behavioral therapy, which I really enjoy because it helps you recognize how your thoughts influence the way you feel, which then influences your actions. And then that cycle just continues, right? So if you're not aware of your thoughts, you're not necessarily able to course correct or change your behavior. So I think being able to have a rough idea of what you want to get out of therapy. And then I think really just finding a therapist that you're like, okay, this is somebody I could talk to at some point. Yeah. And just feeling comfortable.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. That's just really good advice. And that was exactly what I did when I started going to therapy with my therapist. Is I had a plan of like, hey, I want to work on at the time just different strategies for anxiety and different things for depression that I was experiencing, that kind of stuff. And then, like you're saying, like you go in for one thing. What I would also attach onto that advice is be open to what you find next throughout your sessions and whatnot, because I went in and I did accomplish that. I've got the strategies for anxiety, I got the strategies for dealing with depression, so on and so forth. But then it kind of turned into I look at my therapist like an accountability kind of partner in a sense, because she gives me shit for sure. If I like say I'm gonna do something one meeting and the next meeting I go and see her, I didn't do it, she'll be like, okay, why? like what's going on? Like how what was an obstacle? Like why didn't that happen? In a sense, so I always like going in there like, oh, like man, I did these things. I always feel better about it, of course. But yeah, man, being open to all the other things that you get to discover about yourself throughout those sessions, for sure. And I think too, like I started diving into a lot of just like my attachment style with my therapist and family stuff, and just me personally. Even last week I seen my therapist. It was a heavy session for sure, and through that, and me and my therapist are at the point now where she knows me fairly well, and she's able to help me out and see things that I may not necessarily be seeing in the moment. It was one of those things where she was like, hey, like you're in your head right now, and I need you to like go to the bathroom. There's emotional. I was crying. This, mind you, middle of the day at work. Never done that or experienced that in a working sense. Like in school, I used to cry a lot all the time, but but I never done that for work. Like being an adult, I've never cried at work and then have to go back and work. Without, and mind you, like I'm in front of students and all this stuff, so I have to be presentable. Like man, like I don't know what I'm doing. So she's like, hey, go in the bathroom, put your hands in cold water, put some cold water on your face, and listen to some music. And I was like, all right, yeah, you're right, Miss Christie, I will do that. And end up feeling better in that sense. But they help out with much more than just, I think, a stigma breaking down. I think it's just more like, oh, like their therapists are only dealing with anxiety or only dealing with depression or like these different things. But they can help out in those small things. Like I was joking with you guys yesterday, my therapist is like my southern auntie, helping me in those instances. Like, hey, like go splash some water in your face, cool down your temperature with your hands. And yeah, man, I hope things get better, and I'll see you next time for sure. Because at the end of the day, you only have that certain amount of time. Like she can't be with you the whole time. You know?
That's so interesting too, because like I think it's really important that we recognize the human nature of everybody. Like when it comes to therapy too. We were kind of talking about that yesterday, just like with therapists themselves. At the end of the day, what are y'all? Human. You're people as well. You're people as well. You know, and there's been like stigmas around whether it's a doctor or therapist or like people that have very high demand and important jobs kind of have this God complex people talk about. Right? Ultimately, I think you can kind of group that into it being narcissism. but like
that is a buzzword right now for sure.
Exactly. But the thing about it is, I think like seeing you and having you come on the show, it's like super important to recognize that you're first of all his brother, right? Like, but like you're one of the guys. Like you're not just over here evaluating everything that everyone is doing all the time.
Not at all.
Because like you have that separation of like your profession versus who you are, what your identity actually is. And that's something that I've been just kind of noticing that I appreciate. You know, and another thing too is that y'all are two soft-spoken gentlemen.
We are.
But
Yeah.
like I've never met some people that are so soft-spoken, but that are so firm and being
Yeah.
like men.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's just awesome. And there's like a lot of people that I think about off the top of my head that
Yeah.
do need to meet you, that do need to have that experience, that initial conversation, and
Yep.
you know, and just to say it, rip off the freaking Band-Aid, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
man.
No, exposure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exposure. No, you're right. What you were just saying, it reminds me, like, again, with athletics, I think as a therapist, you have to figure out when to turn it on and when to turn it off, because you can't be on all the time. Just like as a football athlete, like you can't be in that mode where you're cutting off your emotions and just kind of focusing in on execution. At some point you have to turn that off. If not, you're not effective. Yeah. So I think that's what therapy helps. It helps you, like, you can have heavy sessions, right, where you're crying. But you can also have sessions where it feels very much like you're talking to a coach, right? And then somebody's giving you very practical, like kind of step-by-step directions. I've got some clients where every week we're working on them on some type of skill, and we're doing exposure therapy where it's like, okay, we're working on your decisiveness and making quick decisions. How can we practice that and kind of have micro exposures for you daily to build up that confidence? Because I think confidence, a lot of times, I'll see this stigma a lot too in therapy. People will come in thinking confidence is like a feeling, and once you get there, you've arrived. Confidence isn't a feeling. Confidence is really your perspective and how you're judging your previous actions, right? So I think the more,
They're speaking.
Yeah.
So for real, but I think the more people can recognize confidence isn't a feeling that you wait for, it's something that you can actually take action on and practice, that I think helps break down the stigma. I can't tell you how many times I'll tell clients that, male clients, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I could do that. It's execution. But yes, it's execution, just like anything else in life. Like, our brain works the best when we don't have to think about it and like process everything. Sometimes our brain wants to just say, like, okay, this is step 1 through 5, and I'm just going to knock it out and become a routine and have it be a ritual. So sometimes that's what therapy is too. It's just kind of giving you different skills, tools, rituals that's going to work for you to be your best self.
With that, I was curious because my therapist, she sends me like little assessments and things to just kind of assess like my mood and essentially also giving me strategies as well. She gave me a lot of just breathing strategies and whatnot. But I wanted to ask, like, do you also provide that, like little assessments, like mood check-ins, and in addition to having like those mini reps like you were talking about?
Yes. Yeah. So Sondermind has done a really good job of incorporating data into our treatment. So not only are we going off of what our clients are saying, we actually have like monthly assessments that we'll have our clients fill out so we can track mood, anxiety symptoms, just about anything. So that way we've got some data to it, which is really nice. Because I think the more people can recognize therapy, it's not just always about your feelings. In a way, it's about like, okay, you're going to observe the data of your life, figure out what's working, what's not working, and kind of make the adjustments from there. I think it helps normalize it more and not feel so like this like taboo thing.
It's like creating your own life project.
Yes.
That's the way that I'm thinking about as you just described that. It's like you're working on little pieces at all time, and you have, like you're saying, like for me, just how my mind is wired and, you know, how linear I can think at times, like having that data set up and like to be able to manipulate it or whatever you want to do to be able to take that and understand, okay, these are some of the areas that might need to be addressed more and things like that. Man, I think that's incredible that, you know, you're able to use the technology and kind of create this whole cohesive program for people to work on themselves. No, it's super cool, man.
And appreciate just all the work that you've done, man. I know I'm your brother and all, but just seeing just what you do for people and just the impact that you make on people's lives individually and throughout just all of your years, man. Just watching you in college when you're doing your internship, man, it's been awesome and something that's inspired me to do what I do. And you going to CSU, that's inspired me to go to CSU as well, man, play sports. And you're just a really good role model. And I think to your clients get that sense. I can already tell just in your sessions, like, man, like this is a person I look up to, and I've been doing it since 0 years old. For sure, man. So it's I want to express my appreciation and it's my gratitude just for what you do for our community and also for people that look like us, because it is important to be able to talk about the hard stuff and to work through these things to become the version of ourselves that we always talk about, becoming our full authentic selves, for sure.
I couldn't agree more. I do have one last question though.
Go for it, man. Go for it.
What does Kayin mean?
What does Kayin mean? Oh man,
I can pull it up.
Kayin means long-awaited child, right? Long-awaited child.
And then his middle name is Farhan. It means one who brings joy.
Crazy how you're named to do exactly what you're doing.
I
just
thanks, man. Shoot, y'all can have me on here whenever y'all want. Y'all make me feel good about myself. Hype me up a little bit.
You're always welcome, brother.
No, it's been a pleasure, man. I think for real, like what you guys are doing is cool. Like two dudes talking about you're talking about stuff that you might not talk about every day with your boys, as far as like emotions and emotional reasoning and things like that. So I think you guys are opening up different conversations and are hopefully modeling it for the next generation. I know you guys are teaching and working with folks and coaching kids and stuff. So I think what you guys are doing, whether it's in the podcast or what you guys do in your personal profession or professions, I do think it's going to have that same impact, man. So I just appreciate that there's guys like y'all out here.
Appreciate you, brother.
But yeah, with that, please feel free to subscribe. You know, if this message or any of our other episodes connected with you in any way, spread the message, man. That's what we're looking to do. That's why we bring great people on this show, man. We're very intentional about who it is that we bring.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We'll definitely be sure to drop a link to your Sondermind account
profile, so y'all can check me out. Know anybody that needs therapy? I'm right here.
Absolutely. Got a great person speaking from experience. Absolutely. But again, it's been a pleasure, brother. Appreciate you being here. And as always,
keep on pushing.
Keep on pushing.
Let's go.